Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Chris Bratt and today I'm joined by Mr. Steve Burns.
Hi.
Brett Phipps from sporttrue.com.
Hello.
And, as always, in that corner, looking fondly in my direction, it's David Scammell.
Hey, baby.
Oh, wow.
Bratters, why are you hosting today?
Well, Matt and Simon have both decided they just didn't fancy doing the podcast or work today.
You just can't get the stuff.
You know what they're like.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're having a Christmas dinner around the corner.
Is it me or does everyone feel a bit jet-lagged?
Jet lagged?
Yeah, I feel a bit out of it. Like
been
it's
out of the
Christmas.
country?
It's Christmas. No, I haven't been anywhere.
No, you're doing the classic of trying to start your Christmas holidays too early.
Yeah, it's the end of term. Let's just piss about, like what you said. Let's watch VHS and get it over with.
VHS.
What's a VHS? But yeah, no, we are actually leaving for Christmas for 2 weeks on Friday, so there won't be a podcast. There might be one at the end of the week, hopefully. We don't know yet.
Just follow our Twitter feeds for all the nonsense.
Yeah, for all the nonsense.
We would like to do a podcast that's sort of like end of year wrap up, looking ahead to next year.
Hopefully on Friday, if all goes to plan.
Yeah,
which would be very nice indeed. But until then, has anyone been playing any of those cursed video games this week? It's the question that always must be answered.
Can I turn that question on to you? What have you been playing this week, Bros?
I've actually been playing something really cool.
Have you been playing Papers, Please?
I have not been... Oh, actually, I did play that last week.
You did?
But no, you know what I did play? Just Cause 2, that game that was released 4 years ago, which is still very, very, very good.
I really like Just Cause 2.
And
Me too.
Then you might want to go back to it and check it out, because this week they released... a group of very dedicated modders released a multiplayer mod for it, and it's bloody exceptional.
Finally.
Yeah, they've been testing it for something like 18 months,
Just
maybe?
25 years.
It's pretty cool. Like, some AAA games don't get that kind of testing before multiplayer launch, so it's pretty freaking cool to see.
I haven't tried it yet, but I have watched a little bit of you playing it.
Yeah, we did like a little highlights video.
Yeah. It's just games like that. Like, they are a lot of fun, but it's one of those things, I get the impression it's amazing fun for an hour.
Yeah.
And then the lack of structure, you're like, well...
Yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of comparisons to be made with GTA Online, which I think I played more than most here. I think you played quite a bit of it, didn't you? But
I tried to, but I didn't get into it.
Sam and I tried to with the live stream each week, and it was really fun. It was absolute chaos because people would always join in, and we'd just be walking across the street and like there'd be 20 helicopters exploding in the background, and it looked ace. But that lack of structure did kill it in the end. It should be the most fun thing you can do in a video game, running around GTA or running around Just Cause 2 and doing whatever you want. I mean, it is, but eventually you just go, and what do we do now?
Can you get a bunch of people together, right? And you have about 5 or 6 people, driving in cars.
Yes, you can do this.
One person
Right.
in a massive plane.
Yep, you can do that.
And then you attach all the cars to the wings of the plane.
Yes.
And take off.
And okay, that is pretty much what the multiplayer has become.
Wonderful.
The combat in it is all right, but the server doesn't really keep up. What people seem to enjoy doing the most is... Did you guys play Just Cause 2?
Loads.
The best thing about it was the way you travelled around the map. You had a grappling hook and...
A winch.
Hook, yes, Dave. And
A what?
And a parachute. And it's the best combination. It should be in every video game ever. It made travelling around the map really, really fun. But you could also use this... What was it called?
You had like a winch and a grappling hook.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
You could attach people to gas canisters and shoot the canister, and then they would fly off.
Or like attach someone to a lamppost and they'd be dangling in the air. But you could also attach vehicles together, and that has transferred over into this multiplayer mod. So you can get a bunch of people lined up, have grappling hooks attached to every single car, so they're all attached. And then the ingenious decision to add this ridiculous... if you press shift on the keyboard, it does like a super boost. And the server just freaks out. If you've got a few cars attached to each other and someone presses that, everything just goes to hell.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it manages to... I'm pretty sure it just guesses what happens. I don't think the server really knows what's going on anymore. It's just like, yeah, and then all the cars exploded and everyone fell out into a river. Yeah, sure.
It sounds like it's like a super explosive sandbox.
It is.
That is quite good fun. But how long will it last? You know, that's my... So...
And that's... Yeah, that's
but then
fair
it's
enough.
free, right?
And
the game is like £1.50 or something at the moment.
Yeah, they've actually... I've never seen this before with a mod. There's been a very direct link. They basically... had like a Steam sale as the mod was launched on Steam as well. And so they've obviously been working with Avalanche to some degree. And so there's been loads of people playing it, and you can have like 900 people, 1,000 people on a server on one server, and it's exactly like you say. There isn't much structure to it, and you will play it for an hour and then probably wander off to do something else. But the hour is fantastic, and I just love that it exists because it's a 4-year-old game that no one's been working on except for these modders who think, you know what, Just Cause 2 needs multiplayer. So they did it.
I'll be intrigued to see how it affects future Just Cause games, because there's clearly going to be a Just Cause 3. Like, there's rumours constantly. If Avalanche can't do as good a job as the modders appear to have done,
then they should hire the modders, probably. Yeah. And you know what? That is often the way of it, isn't it? I mean, there was the recent example with the guy who made what's it called, the Skyrim mod, begins with F.
I know what you mean.
Anyway, that guy got hired by Bungie in the end because he'd done such a great job within a Bethesda game, and that does seem to be a very viable way of entering the industry in some respects.
That is the way to get in any way. You've got your portfolio. That's how you get into games journalism, really.
Imagine being able to go to a job interview and say, we put multiplayer into Just Cause 2. It was just something we fancied doing, so we spent 18 months doing it. Rigorous testing, scheduled events, and it's bloody ace. If you want to check that out, Just Cause 2 is well worth £2 anyway. But the fact that it's got this fun multiplayer community makes it even better. So there we are.
Also,
wonderful. If the guy who did the Randy Savage mod in Skyrim is out there, could he please put Randy Savage in every game?
Yeah, Just Cause 2 probably could do with it.
Yeah, just make him...
Yeah, because you could elbow drop from the top of planes and take out all the destructible scenery.
Oh man.
That'd be perfect.
Fuck's sake, Avalanche. Why aren't you thinking about anything these days? Too much Mad Max rubbish. No one wants a Mad Max game. Cut to the future when the Mad Max game is actually really good. Mad Max is
I said all along that I couldn't wait for this game.
I used to love flying in about 20,000 feet, jumping out, plunging to the ground, and then about 5 feet off the ground, pulling out my grappling hook and firing to the ground and surviving.
That's
wonderful.
You feel like such a pro when you do it, but every so often you just get the angle slightly wrong, and it's really embarrassing. One thing I do want to mention before we go on, the Mile High Club. There's like a giant blimp.
I do know it's practice.
Floating around Just Cause 2, right? With it's like there's a party on it. Last night we did a little live stream and had people from the multiplayer. I managed to just spawn like a ridiculous number of boats on top of it, grapple them all together, and then you can just press the stupid boost button and everything went to chaos. And just imagine that situation.
Sounds amazing.
We're in a blimp, we're using boats out of water to cause nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's very, very fun.
It's the same thing with all these online games where it's pure chaos. As long as everyone on the server is in sync, then it can be great fun.
Yeah,
but when everyone's trying to do their own thing, that's why Grand Theft Auto fell down for me, was you're trying to get from A to B, but everyone's trying to disrupt what you're doing. Well, it's just not fun anymore.
The problem I had with GTA Online, and I discussed this a bit with you off the air.
We do talk
outside of this room. Was the thing with GTA Online is that it seemed to be sold as something that it actually isn't. It seems to be that the open world element of it is just a hub in which players can go from different multiplayer modes.
And do you know what it's become, which is really, really depressing? For a lot of people, that massive online world is a hub for death matches. That's where they wait for the next death match to happen.
You're playing it wrong.
And it's so...
Sorry, I just wanted to annoy you. I played it in... I play GTA Online in private games with my friends.
Oh, yeah, of course you can do that, can't you?
So play in a private game, and there's like a whole mission progression. You start as like a drug runner. And we didn't do any of the deathmatch, any of the races. Yeah. Just every now and then you'll get a phone call, and as you complete the jobs, those phone calls increase the frequency, and you get onto some actual proper GTA. But you're right about playing it in public games, because it's just like, I bought you got the Stimulus package.
Yeah.
I bought the most expensive apartment. And when I got there, someone was waiting for me. So I just went into private mode, and he was like,
yeah,
fuck off, mate, get out, get out.
It just seems like the ultimate grief game rather than something that's actually quite fun.
Yeah.
I do kind of feel I was actually playing it a little bit wrong, because we did it we mainly used it for the live streams, and it was an entirely different thing, and we were very lucky to have that experience, because it was just all these people centered around one idea, whatever we were trying to accomplish, and it was very, very fun, but we never saw that side of the game. Everything we did was focused around the idea of, all right, we've got like 16 people here. How can we all do something together? And the answer was a death match or a race. And so it kind of, that's the least fun part of GTA Online. That's not how they sold it.
They're not bad.
Oh, they're okay, but I mean, there are better races and better shooters out there.
Get 4 or 8 people if you can, and play it in private games with no other players, and you've just got you, the world, and the mission's great.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting this almost like persistent online world where people could just go off and do different game types if they want. But really, the focus is on those game types.
I mean, there's still changes coming. Have they said when the heists are likely to make their appearance?
They've teased some big stuff for next year, but I don't really.
Do you think they're regretting GTA Online in some respects? The fact that
I don't think they're regretting it. I think they needed to do it. I think it would be a mistake if they don't roll it out onto next gen because, well, not just a mistake, but I think Take-Two's investors will go absolutely ballistic if they don't roll it out next gen. So I think the next gen version is guaranteed, and to do that, they need something to bring players over because there will be players invested in GTA Online, and there'll be people that are that are kind of done with GTA 5's story mode. And so if they've got that to it, and that's another incentive for people to jump over to next gen, then
I just feel like I don't think they've necessarily matched their idea for it. I'm sure they went into GTA Online with an idea of a persistent world, almost like what you've just described there, what the kind of trailers initially showed, and they haven't quite managed to recreate that yet.
I don't buy this talk when they go, oh, GTA 5 is essentially 2 games in one. Well, no, that's bullshit. It's not. It's just GTA 5 with a multiplayer add-on. Like,
it doesn't feel drastically different to the multiplayer on GTA 4 from my experience. It has got a better infrastructure around it, but the same problems are still there for me.
It's got no cops and crooks mode, which is a shocking
a crime in itself.
DLC, mate.
That made me so angry. You've made me angry now.
Actually, if it is. It's like when Ubisoft dropped Spies vs. Mercs for, Splinter Cell Conviction? What are they doing? Most popular mode they've ever made. Gone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They wanted to tell a story, man.
I actually really like Conviction's co-op game, though.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
Really,
played that a lot.
I think it was one of the best parts of Splinter Cell.
It was the insta failures that get to me in all those games. It's just you got spotted, go back to the beginning. Oh, nah, can't be bothered with that.
I got shoot.
Not very good spy, Dave, that's the problem.
Well, I'm a professional spy.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, don't get spotted instantly. Anyway, have we been playing anything else other than just Cause 2 multiplayer, which everyone should go and play?
No, but I remembered a game I played when I was a kid.
That helps.
No, there's a story behind this. So the other night, you might have seen me tweet it, Cliffhanger was on. I love Cliffhanger. I think Cliffhanger's fucking ace.
Great
it was
film.
in that kind of early to mid 90s period of action movies.
That's the one with Sylvester Stallone hanging off a cliff, right?
That's the one, right? But it was in that period where they were like, well, we can't do kind of Soviets anymore, and we can't do, military bases, so we have to have environmental stuff. So you had was it Fire Down Below and On Deadly Ground with Steven Seagal and all those fucking rubbish. Anyway, Cliffhanger has got John Lithgow in it as the bad guy, so adult Stewie Griffin. The score is brilliant, if a little bit ripped from Predator. Michael Rooker, he's in it. It's great. But anyway...
Can I ask a quick question? Because I must admit, I've never seen Cliffhanger.
What?
Does it end on a cliffhanger?
No.
What?
It ends really abruptly. Essentially, they kill a man by dropping a helicopter on him. Someone makes a joke about it, and then the camera just, kind of tracks out.
They don't even make a joke about cliffhangers.
And there's a great song, don't forget. Every 90s and 80s film ends on a good song.
Well, the score is pretty good. But anyway, when I was watching it, I was thinking, this is absolutely nothing like the piece of shit SNES version that I had when I was a kid,
right.
Which is one of the hardest games I've ever played, and seems to consist of a shirt, Sylvester Stallone only in a shirt.
Lovely.
Running
away.
Wait,
no, not lovely. As in he's not wearing trousers.
What? He's not wearing a shirt.
No, as in for his upper body, Bratters.
Right, Shirts are different to trousers, Bratters.
No, they did come across like he was wearing a shirt and no pants.
Yeah, just clarifying.
Yeah.
For our audience.
Sorry, if you've not seen the movie, there's a plot point where he is only in his shirt, and that's made out to be a thing because they take his jacket as insurance. The bad guys need him to climb up something.
Right, okay.
So they take his jacket because he can't survive without it.
Right,
anyway,
got you,
in the game, the game bears no relation to it, apart from, not wearing a jacket. And there's an avalanche every 10 seconds, and then, of course, it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up, so you have to beat up about 1,000 people
while surviving an avalanche.
While surviving. It is the worst piece of shit I've ever played, and if anyone knows anyone that made it, tell me their addresses, I'm going to go around there and fucking...
and have a civilized argument with them.
I'm going to say, what happened, man? What was their pressure?
Yeah.
I know, because Last Action Hero came out in the same year.
What's the thing?
And that was a side-scroll
film.
Yeah.
Last Action Hero is a very underrated movie.
But back then you had loads of movie tie-ins, didn't there? They were always platform, always side-scrolling.
And weren't they always ridiculously hard as well?
Terminator was hard, but it was really good.
Which
2, Judgment Day, where you start off with...
Which version? Come on now.
Mega Drive.
Didn't you use
the SNES version was terrible.
Yeah,
didn't you use the light gun for the Mega Drive version of Terminator?
No, this is
That's
where you
the
start.
arcade game.
Yeah, no, the Mega Drive version, when you start off and all you've got is grenades, and the first thing you do is you take out the I can't remember, the massive walker.
That's the first game.
Is it number one?
Because you run. You've got the and the.
Oh yes, it is. Sorry, you are John
little...
Connor. Yeah, sorry.
Man,
Alien 3 on Mega Drive.
Great music.
Really good, wasn't it? I think.
No relation to the.
Probably.
No relation to the movie.
And was it Super Star Wars as well?
Super Star Wars.
Yeah, Super Star Wars.
Incredibly tough. Also.
Yeah.
Aladdin 2.
We're not getting into the Aladdin.
Mega Drive version.
What's happened here? What's happened here?
We're talking about games.
We're going through Dave's childhood.
This is our childhood.
But also, I played a game yesterday. I went to an event and I played it, and I can't really tell you about it.
Could you?
I'm trying to think what this game was.
Oh yes,
okay, I do know
rhyme
what it
with.
Well, no, it'll all be too obvious if I say.
Okay.
But it's a sequel.
Okay.
Which narrows it down to literally everything.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Loads of fun.
So there's an upcoming sequel that is loads of fun.
There's an upcoming sequel. It's out early next year. And
well, it's not hard to work out what that might be then.
And it's not on next gen, and it's really fun.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I think you can work it out from that.
You've seen a few games recently, haven't you?
I have.
We can't talk about them though.
Well, that's always good, isn't it? That's always good for a podcast.
I saw another game that's not a sequel.
This is going to be, guess what Steve Burns has played this week?
And that was also very good.
Wow, thank you, Steve.
Steve, coming from you, this is quite the honour.
I know, people think I hate games, but I just don't like games that are really, really overhyped. Like, say, Bioshock Infinite.
I don't think you hate games.
Oh, no, I gave Bioshock Infinite an 8, but I was starting to think
I think you were spot on with that. No, I think you were. I think an 8 is probably fair for that.
Can we have this argument now, or should we wait?
No, we'll wait, because I think we need to get, we need to have a gentle opening.
Yeah,
sure.
I want to talk about Papers, Please as well.
Papers, Please.
Oh, not again.
You seem to have this idea that we talk about Papers, Please all the time,
Every day we talk about Papers, Please.
Yes, but on the podcast.
I haven't been here in a while, and I've just played Papers, Please for the first time this week.
How dare you try and lay down the judgment on what people had to talk about, Mr. Battlefield?
I bought Papers, Please.
I like Battlefield.
I bought Papers, Please last week as well. But carry on.
Okay, cool.
Well, what did you think of it?
I played about 45 minutes, and I quite like it. But it's one of those games that I will only play when I'm trying to waste a little bit of time. It seems like the perfect game that I'd play on iOS.
I see. I heard a few people say this morning. I don't think it suits that at all. No. I think it has to be played in 1 to 2 sittings, fairly close together, because it very much depends on you remembering. You have to get into like a muscle memory kind of state on how to quickly identify each passport, because you can't go back into a later level and succeed. It becomes too difficult. It's a very tricky game.
I don't feel like I really give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone says like, oh, you want to look after your family and all that. I'm like, well, I don't really care at the moment. I have no reason to care for them.
I had this as well, because I tried playing it in the office on my lunch break, and I was failing miserably. I was on day 4 and I couldn't get through. I kept getting the citation saying, you got this wrong, got that wrong. I even got.
By the way, that is one of the most terrifying noises in the game.
You don't know until the next person's coming in, and you're waiting for it to come up, and you think, "Oh, I
can never quite tell when it is, how far the person has to get before it triggers." But I'm always like, "Shit, I think that was right." And then God, please don't make that noise.
Just as you calm down, you hear the typewriter thing come up, and you think, "Oh no."
Yeah.
But you saying about not giving a shit, I feel that way, but not about my family. I feel that way when it comes to the people, because once you get to a certain time in the day, you've processed so many people, and you just think, well, it's my job, I've got to say. Like, there was a point in the game where 2 people come through and they know each other.
It's a husband and wife, I think, is one of the early examples.
And the husband comes through and he's all good. He just says, look, my wife's coming next. Just make sure she gets through okay. And that's all he says. And she comes through and she has far from enough paperwork to get through. You're at a point in the game where you've got to go through about 20 sheets in order to make sure they're okay to get through. And then the whole time you're checking the paperwork, there's text scrolling up, because the game's split into 2 screens, really. The right-hand side is the paperwork and the left-hand side is the conversation. And then she knows she hasn't got enough. And
so you're checking the stuff and she's kind of saying, well, please, come on.
I told her to piss off.
But it gets to the point where you're just doing your job and then you're sort of ignoring what she's saying, unless it's pertinent to making sure that you're doing your job.
See, I think that's kind of wonderful, though, because that's exactly what it wants you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You do separate those 2 things, and then later on you kind of... I don't know. I think it's a fantastic game. It kind of...
I don't deny it's a good game.
It's a game about checking passports and making sure dates are right. But that's a distraction from the actual game, I think, which is making horrible decisions.
There is that thing the day after where I took a citation deliberately because there's a woman who asks you to not let someone through because of what would happen if you let him through.
Yeah. Yeah, so that you are given chances to go against
almost, it. Yeah, to deliberately fail at your job in order to save someone else. But you're never going to see this person again. You don't know. Obviously, it's a game. Once they go beyond that wall, they're not a person anymore, But in the realm of this game, you are making a choice to stop that thing from happening. And you don't know if that bears any...
Yeah, and I don't think you'll ever... nothing else happens after that. It's all about that moment.
And, exactly, yeah.
And how you feel about it. And I think that's it's a dilemma, but I think the real case where it shines is when you get the power to, once you detain someone, so if their paperwork's well out of order and they're doing something clearly illegal, you can send them to prison. And you get to a stage in the game where you start getting an incentive for doing that. You'll get like $5.
That's it, yeah.
Per, I think
it's 2 you detain.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that you need that money to feed and look after your family, which you never have enough of unless you're really, really good at the game.
Yeah.
And so it becomes, you get to this stage, like about halfway through, where you just start detaining anyone you can. And it's horrible. Like for the slightest grievance, you'll send them to prison. And it's obviously in this fictional state, but there's obviously you wouldn't want to be in prison
like
there.
The United States legal system, where it's come to light that whole thing actually happens, and that a senior judge was taking kickbacks from a private prison to send people to prison. So you thought it was like somewhere in Eastern Europe, right? You thought it was...
Yeah, well, that's... It's
that's the United States. That's what it said.
It's awesome.
I don't want to bring a downer into this, but this is quite a down conversation.
It is, and there are connections to be made there with the real world. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. Yeah. I wouldn't give a shit about it. Like that is.
Papers, Please's genius is that it makes you care, and I said this earlier, is that it makes people care about fictional characters and fictional problems, and these are the same people, and I include myself in this. I'm sure everyone's done this, where they will walk past someone who's homeless, and they'll say, "Have you got any change?" And just as a response, you'll say, "No." And then you walk past, and then you just head into McDonald's.
And you go home and play Papers, Please and feel terrible.
But you're so conditioned as just saying no, and that is a lie, right? And maybe you can't even afford to give the money away, but you don't say that. You just say nope, and off you go. Whereas Papers, Please has this horrible dilemma where it puts itself in, and people actually care about that more than the terrible things.
Yeah, no, it's a weird thing about like not just video games, but anything interactive like that, where you start empathizing with fictional beings. It's weird, but I think the fact that it achieves that is really good. Why don't you care for it? Is there a reason why you just
care for the game?
You said you don't really give a shit about each person. Is it you just see it as a level, like
over there? Nah, don't care.
In terms of the game, I think it's very clever in that it challenges your moral stance and almost your stereotypes to a degree. I think when you can see some dodgy guy walking up, and you
do honestly. You as bad as it sounds, you do start looking at faces and think, this
exactly. And I think that's very clever. But I don't really. There's no incentive for me to want to care about my family other than the fact that I know that they're my family and they might die. And but what? Yeah,
because the family.
What difference does that make to me as the player, other than my score being slightly affected?
Well, I mean, your ending changes depending on that,
right? Okay, well, it hasn't. I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, fair enough, and I think that's a very fair point, because your family are literally displayed as a screen with some text on.
Exactly.
That says,
I've had no introduction to them. I don't know who they are. And it's not necessarily important I'm introduced to them or anything like that. It's just I care about the people that I'm letting in and out, and I do sort of that time with a husband and wife. I can empathise with that situation. At the same time, I'm there being like this bastard going, "No, piss off, you ain't coming in."
You ain't coming in.
But when it's just literally just a name on a black screen, it's difficult to really.
I think that's a very fair point. I managed to get on board with it, but I can see why you wouldn't. Definitely,
especially when they're causing me trouble. Like, you take my money, mate. So why are you ill? Why are you all ill and cold? I'm ill and cold.
It's like, Dave, I think I agree with you on the family front, like, because you're interacting with people, but those people have genuine problems caused by other things outside of their control. Whenever I see someone, and this is going to sound terrible, in real life, whenever I see someone going, "I'm so tired, my child was blah blah," I just think, that was your choice. You had the child. It's not like you didn't know.
Oh dear.
And I'm like, okay, fine. But they're like,
if only Tom Orry was in here right now.
I have told Tom Orry many times, before and after.
He's a very tired man.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "I'm so tired." It's like, dude, Sorry, you had it. It's your kid.
I'm not sure I can agree with your stance on parenthood. However, I understand what you mean, because the uncle, why has he not got a job? That's what I want to know. The uncle in Papers, Please, who I'm supporting.
Maybe he can't work. Maybe he has reasons that mean he
Maybe I should have a dialogue box with him in which he explains the reasoning for why I'm paying for his food and medicine.
That's what I mean. Like, a little bit more context to this would help it.
Yeah. That's a fair point. And to be honest, I ended up favouring my son, wife and mother-in-law, and the uncle was always my last in the option. I always had that in the back of my mind.
What did he do to you, Chris?
I don't know.
He's really upset you.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
let's not go into that conversation about uncles.
Terrible news.
But yeah, anyone been playing anything else? Dave, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing...
You're the man with all the next-gen consoles.
I'll tell you what I did play, actually, quite a bit. And I'm not going to talk about it too much. It's Need for Speed, because we spoke about it last week.
Why do we always talk about Need for Speed?
Yeah, so I don't really want to talk about it. The server issue on that, though, I know Brett wrote a piece on it. It's unbelievable how it's not dedicated servers on that game. It's peer-to-peer stuff. It's just...
We mentioned this last week, and it hasn't improved at all.
No, so I'm on the last race of the Racer campaign, and it's this big tour of the entire map, and it takes about 15 minutes.
Oh,
and
God.
I cross the line in first... It's really hard as well.
Oh, God,
Cross the line in first place... Suddenly the whole thing it crashes out, goes, oh, migrating host, and then it says I haven't done the race. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
So someone saw you won and left, pretty much, whoever was hosting the server?
Well, I wasn't racing with any... It was really weird, because partway through the race, because basically the game works is that even though you're online, you can do the races in single-player mode, essentially.
Like a private
there's just other racers, other human players within the world elsewhere as well. It's a bit like Burnout Paradise type. I mean, that was separate, wasn't it, Burnout?
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're basically doing your own thing while everyone else is doing it as well.
Yeah, so I'm racing AI while there's other people out doing their own thing in the world. And then I have this Overwatch thing. Is it Overwatch? The
iPad.
It's like a companion app thing. It's suddenly... This guy...
You're the guy that has that.
This guy, I don't know whether he realised I was in the final race or what I was doing, but he suddenly decided to basically shit on me. And he sent all of this stuff after me. He took all of my ammo, all of my fuel, my turbo stuff, and all that.
That's something that can happen.
Yeah, and I crossed the line. I still won it, and then the game just crashed out. And I'm thinking, what?
He mugged you off, though. Did you get a gamer tag?
I did actually. It's all in my SkyDrive. My SkyDrive is just a collection of
people
technical facts. Technical facts. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Just capture all of it. Wonderful.
Yeah, I've got a feeling you need to stop playing that as a multiplayer game.
The only way you can get around that, and for anyone who's having this problem, is if you go into your all drive settings and change your server to a private match. There'll be no one else in the game, but you can get by it and just do it.
Then why? What's the point in going online if you're going to be playing private?
So I tried it. I feel like I'm losing.
But for levels of that importance, then the only option
is to guarantee but that's bad. That's bad. Terrible. I feel like I'm losing a significant part of the game by choosing
significant to play part of your life.
Wow, no, it is a fun game though. It is fun. I have grown to like it a lot in the time that I've played it, but it's just got these issues. Other game I've been playing a little bit. I won't touch on it very long because it's amazing and it's getting even better as I go along.
I know it's coming.
Skylanders Swap Force.
Oh, Dave.
You say that. We gave it a 9 out of 10, Bratters.
Dave.
It's really good.
Dave.
And it looks, genuinely, it looks really good. It's not quite CGI level of quality, but it's getting there.
Okay, to be fair, my experience with Swap Force particularly is limited. I still see Skylanders as... I just hate the idea of it. It seems like they're block off content so that you pay quite a lot of money for these plastic toys. And
the genius behind it is that they've got away with on-disc DLC for about 5 years, and no one has called them out on it.
I think plenty of people called them out, and it's just that that's not their target market.
That's the business model. The fact that you get a little plastic toy to go along with it. Genius.
Yeah, can't feel sorry though, can you? Because there's a choice to have kids, isn't it? So your choice to buy your kids Skylanders.
If you've had children, then you should have to buy Skylanders. It's your fault. Okay, I see your point now. Yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. Every time I think of Skylanders, though, I just think the Pokemon company must just be sitting there thinking, my God.
Why did Nintendo build one of those near-field communication things into their gamepad and then proceeded to do absolutely bugger all with it?
Yeah.
Because they did a Pokemon, was it Rumble
U?
Rumble,
yeah, that's it.
Does that use
I think
it does. Thing?
It does to some extent, doesn't it? I haven't played it, but
it's just
they've definitely approached that idea before. But it's nothing compared to Skylanders.
I don't know. There's something.
Is it a good game underneath all of?
It is a good game, particularly this last one. It is good. It's a lot better than the previous two.
So even without the swapping element, it's fun. Like without
I don't really care much for the swapping element.
But surely it just becomes very expensive because of that. Or are you playing
what
with?
What do you mean expensive?
Because you're having to buy new models to.
You don't have to buy new models to do it to progress. It's all
I think
there.
Disney Infinity is what you're looking at, because Disney Infinity does genuinely lock off content where
you need
the Pirates of the Caribbean.
So does Skylanders to an extent. You can't complete the entire game. You can't see every part of the game without.
No, you can't. It locks you out. It locks you out of bonus areas, and and in those bonus areas are new hats, which are just modifiers.
That would drive me mad. I know it shouldn't, but it's the same with when a lot of games add microtransactions. It's very hard for me to look past the idea that at every turn they're going to try and introduce something that makes me want to purchase.
I agree.
Because of that, it just turns me off the idea completely. And
I think the one thing that rubs it in a little bit is that part of the collectibles are I can't remember what they call them, but they're these little purple symbols, and you collect them, and as you go over them, it's like, would you like to preview this new character?
Oh yeah, they do. The trailers
and it's basically an in-game advert for another toy.
That is really clever, though, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Of course it is. But this last one, it is a good game. It's more of a platformer now than the old ones were. It's got a jump button. And it feels a bit more like an old school kind of platformer with these RPG elements. You can level them up, you can build up your resources, and you can buy upgrades and things like that. So
the old games didn't have a jump button.
No,
it was more of a basic Diablo thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas this is a little bit more towards the kind of realms of maybe not Crash Bandicoot. That's probably a wrong example, but more closer to that than they ever were. I just really like it. It has a certain. I hate using that word. But it has a certain charm.
It's oozing charm.
And yeah, it's just very enjoyable. If I was a kid, growing up with that,
then your parents would.
I'd probably look back on it like I look back on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro now. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
That would be my.
Yeah, I would love a proper Spyro game again.
I'd love a proper Crash Bandicoot. And I know people keep going, "Oh, Sony's doing a Crash Bandicoot." I'm not sure they are. I don't know for sure, but I don't.
But he was on the signpost in that trailer.
Yeah, but Activision came out and said they still own the license. Yet there's still these rumours that Sony's doing something.
But
with it.
Ryu was also driving the cabs. So
yeah, that was weird.
You have to wonder if they'd be mad if they got an exclusive Street Fighter.
I think it was just a heritage thing. I think it was just let's talk to our partners and who wants to put their characters in there.
But that's not how the internet works. We like to get excited about
speculation.
Well, forget that though. Forget those games.
Forget all of them.
I've remembered another game they actually did play. I didn't just remember.
Was it within the last 10 years?
Can you talk about it?
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Yeah, go on.
Or is it a game that's really good?
Bratters will also pitch in. It's
I know
The Novelist.
The Novelist, sure.
I've never heard of this game.
So I played it because Do you want
to, for those who haven't seen it, we did do a little video, but it's like an interactive story.
Yeah, it's a very basic game wrapped around an interactive story where a family of three, so the parents and a young son, move into a summer house for the season, while the dad the novelist can work on his next book, which he's really struggling to write. He's got writer's block. And
is this just Alan Wake?
If it was anywhere near as good as Alan Wake, but you play a ghost a benevolent ghost. You're not haunting them, who has to help them out with their life choices. And each of the three characters are at different stages in their lives. So the wife is a frustrated artist.
And she's they've all got problems. The marriage is kind of on the rocks at the beginning as well.
Not development troubles, but he's behind in class.
Yeah.
Right. And so you sneak around the house by moving from light fitting to light fitting, because if they see you, they become suspicious. And you have to work out what the game calls compromises for characters. So the basic gameplay is they walk around the house doing whatever. You go around the house looking for notebooks.
Looking for all their shit.
Yeah, basically. Or even into their memories and reliving them to find out what's haunting them. And then at the end of the chapter, you get to choose which of the three characters has their desires met, essentially. So say the little boy who's feeling left alone by his parents' marital troubles, he's feeling isolated, he might want to go to the beach.
This is what you asked me about the other day. I just thought it was a live question that you were asking me.
Oh, God, yeah. Part of my game was based
you said,
on...
what would you do? Yeah.
You thought that was a random question?
I thought this was something you were going through in your home life.
And you thought he turned to you.
I asked you whether or not I should drink a bottle of wine with my wife or play with my child. Dave, I'm not married, I don't have a kid.
Oh, shit.
And also, first person to ask for advice is you about marital advice.
Actually, I'm the go-to person for that sort of thing.
But so that's really cool. But it's the kind of the game itself. They always describe the house as being massive. They're like, I can't believe we've got this big house for the summer at such a reasonable rate. The house has 2 bedrooms. It has about 6 rooms total.
Yeah, and the whole game is based in there.
Yeah, and the gameplay's the same every chapter, apart from like kind of vignettes at the end of each chapter where you are in the past, and you know that because it's in black and white, and you can check other people's memoirs. That kind of feed into a larger story, but never really explain it, give it some colour, as it were. Yeah, you go, just now look at a notebook. Now I have to find the clues. And
sounds like a supernatural come dine with me.
Do you know what?
Sounds like Casper meets The Sims.
But you know, Gone Home is in some way like
that's what I think. That's
similar.
I think that's what a lot of people are linking it to.
But Gone Home plays like a game, and people moaned about how gamey it was, like the progression, like there's a locked door in your own house, but that house was massive, and there was loads of other things going on in the house, and it was like Resident Evil, Bioshock without the gun, essentially the way you move around.
Yeah, so
this doesn't have that. You're just in the same 5 or 6.
We've Gone Home. It's a game that takes you in quite a. You don't have much choice. It's a linear direction. The choice comes in which rooms you go into first, pretty much, and how you explore. Whereas
always go left. That's
always a good rule.
Paul Brannigan told me this in 1993 when he played Wolfenstein. And I was lost playing Wolfenstein. If in doubt, always go left. Okay, so there you go.
I don't trust that advice anymore because I think so many developers have heard that anecdote that they now think, you know what, screw them, we'll go right. But anyway, I know what you mean. I think, to be honest, we've chatted about this a little bit. I think we both have the same problems with the game aspect of it. It's not a good game, but those decisions and the story around it, I enjoyed and I got something from. But the game stuff, like the fact that you have to sneak around the house, you have the options to either play in stealth mode, which is that, or story mode where you can walk around freely and it doesn't matter if you're seen. I think the story mode is a hell of a lot better. And the game aspect of it gets very repetitive. The idea that you have to keep every time there's like 3 things that you'll need to find for each character. So there'll be a notepad, a drawing, and something else. And that just once you got to the end of the game, you're rattling through it because you just know exactly how that's going to play out. Not much for that at all. But I found making those decisions really tricky, and It was a little bit cliche in some aspects, but I enjoyed it.
It's The Shining, basically, but without the violence and the meltdown.
Actually, yeah, isn't The Shining like a very similar setting?
But in a much smaller house. And say it's in my review, which we're going up this afternoon. But yeah, it's The Shining in a much smaller house, but without the payoff of him going mad. Imagine The Shining as they arrive. Then imagine the recut, so it's like 3 minutes long. They arrive, they're in 2 rooms, and then it just ends like that trailer that was made with that Peter Gabriel song. Have you seen that? The recut trailer for The Shining.
Oh, right, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like meant to be a family kind of
everything
drama.
goes all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's worth checking out if you're...
It's like narrative-driven games, properly narrative-driven games.
I think the game is very much a kind of wrapping for it, and
just get Gone Home. Just get Gone Home.
Yeah,
that's probably better. Cool.
Fair enough. Well, then I think that wraps up our video games of this week, right?
No.
Do you want to talk about Papers, Please a bit more, Dave? I can see it. I can see the burning desire for more Papers, Please conversation in your eyes. But we'll move on regardless. Anything in the news canon this week?
Oh, God, really? Well, I haven't been asked that for a while. No.
It's been a quiet one.
That's nothing.
There have been people having problems with Walking Dead overnight, trying to authenticate their keys with Telltale servers.
None of us had the chance to play it yet, but I'm about to after this podcast, so I'm very, very excited about it.
Brad's review will be going up later today.
Yeah.
Will it really?
It will.
Yes. Wow.
Season 2.
We're all going to stand behind you and judge your decisions that you make in the game.
I still haven't gotten around to finishing season 1.
I did spoil the ending for you.
You did.
Shouldn't we talk about the opening of season 2, episode 1, where if you are coming at it from another...
Yeah,
say you play through on Xbox 360, I think Braz did this, and then you want to play it on PC, and because it's on Steam earlier, we do want to play on PC to get a review up as quickly as we can, then...
Unfortunately,
you can't make any of the choices like Mass Effect.
It automatically...
There's no kind of...
It automatically searches for your past save file, and we didn't have one on the PC I'm using, so it just says we can't find one. Your decisions have been randomly generated, which
I think that's a shame.
Which it's a massive shame. It strikes me as the fact that there aren't going to be a hell of a lot of links back to season 1. I don't know yet, but I think if they'd made a big effort for there to be loads of references to your decisions, then they would have had a tick box, because that can't be difficult to implement, because it would literally be A or B. The choices aren't that complex in season 1. Let's be honest.
No.
So
save the child or save the man.
Exactly.
I remember laughing when I first saw that. It's like they're next to each other. I can save both. No, one or the other.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that will play out. And you know what? When I look back at it, without getting into too many spoilers, I don't think it will. It hasn't disappointed me as much as, say, when people were having with Mass Effect, people having problems with the Mass Effect saves crossing over. That would have really upset me because I felt that story was coming up to its end and everything. But yeah, we'll see.
So has this issue been fixed, though, Dave?
They claim it has.
So that's if you haven't bought it on Steam, then you might be having troubles.
If you bought it through Telltale's website or certain third parties like Green Man Gaming, they give out keys that you redeem on Telltale's site, and it's just having the servers are struggling to authenticate it. That's what it sounds like.
This is why Steam is the overlord of us all, isn't it?
Yeah, although it sounds like
a shame that they can't. That through their own website they've been having problems as well.
Yeah, the way Telltale's responded, I mean, there was one comment from them where they said we won't be giving out Steam keys as a replacement. And it's like it's probably not the best thing to tell people right now because you're just going to frustrate them even more by.
I mean that's the sort of thing where actually having someone speaking and not just text means a lot more because inferring meaning out of text, like they probably just meant that as a.
In that tone of voice, they were like, we're not
we're not going to do that. Sorry.
I was going to do that in a very high-pitched voice.
We're not giving out Steam keys.
We're not giving out Steam keys to anyone.
Talking of bugs and zombies.
I know what you're going to talk about.
Something else I'd like to talk about briefly, because I don't know a lot about it, to be honest, is DayZ.
And as a broader theme, I think it's worth talking about. This week has been crazy for early access games. Have you seen on Steam 5 out of the 10 top-selling games at one point this week were all early access?
Were they really?
Yeah. So there's
I have an issue with early access.
Rust. There is Wasteland 2.
Wasteland 2 beat them.
Yeah. So you've got
Well, I don't know if it's an issue or it's just one of these things where. So the situation with DayZ riled me up a little bit because this was a game that's been out for years as a mod. That was announced, I think it was August last year, they announced it was coming as standalone.
No, they've already delayed it.
And they dated it to come out, I think it was November of last year. So initially they had a schedule of like, I don't know how long they've been working on it before August, but from announcement to release, it was like, 3 or 4 months? It was then delayed, and they were like, don't know when it's going to happen. It's now out, but it's out. I haven't played it.
It's going out in early access.
Yeah, it's out on early access now. I haven't played it. I don't know what it's like, but the warnings all over that Steam page are basically going, don't buy this game.
I played it last night on the stream, actually. And
unless you will accept that it is buggy.
Yeah, and when you load up the game, every time you load up the game, a box comes up saying, this is early access, please understand there's going to be bugs, might crash, okay.
That's bad enough.
Is it?
What I think then takes the piss is then they go, you've paid 20 quid for this. It's not even going to hit beta until at least a year from now.
Yep.
What? I don't get that model.
See, I understand your frustration with it, but if they're being open about it from the beginning...
But they don't need to fix it.
Why does it matter?
They've got your 20 quid. For all you know, that 20 quid's gone now, it won't be fixed. Because the DayZ mod was never fixed. In fact, it got worse.
I'll agree that certain early access games, the development on them seems to drag on like crazy. Maybe the incentive does go to an extent, but
it's all a matter of trust. And unfortunately, I'm a bit of a cynic.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Then this model works for you. Don't buy it until it comes out.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I won't buy it. But the point is that it's there available for £20. And I know that people will say, well, the problem's with Battlefield 4, and that's 40, 50 quid, and that's still essentially in beta form.
They don't come out and say that there's a different message coming from the publisher.
I know, and I can understand. Obviously, I understand the frustrations on both sides. It's just for this to be 20 quid and then for them to say, we know it ain't going to be ready for at least a year. It just sounds crazy. But without that, it wouldn't be ready for a year, and the people that want to play it now wouldn't be able to play it. If you don't want to play it until it's got a final version, then don't. Right, but don't charge the asking price for it when it's not finished.
Why not? Because then they'll lose.
Don't say. I say if you want to play it now, it's £5. And then if you want to upgrade to the full game when it's ready, another 15
quid.
Yeah,
but people might not. People might burn themselves out over the next 6 months and then not want to pay the full version.
Exactly. So they've burnt themselves out in a game that's not finished. Yeah, and that's why I think it's cheeky.
I don't think that the fault for that lies with the developer or the publisher. I think that's your decision as a consumer.
Well, obviously everyone has the right to go, I want to accept that. I don't want to accept that agreement. But I think it's a dangerous model that I think could become.
It is. If people start looking at it and don't realise that from the get-go, and one of the
if it's
one of the
accepted
interesting
this
things,
time, if it's accepted this time, there's nothing to stop it creeping out further and to bigger publishers.
Yeah, and it's let's be honest. If 5 of the top-selling games on the biggest distributor on the PC are early access, then people who aren't familiar with early access are going to start seeing this as, I can play
there is obviously demand.
There is a danger
it.
there.
Yeah.
But I just honestly, I think as long as you're open about it and as long as you go into it with the right impression and it's made very clear to you that what you're buying isn't a finished product and it might not be for a year, I think that's fine. And it gives people, if people want to play it now, that's why they've bought it. So I don't think we're losing anything here. I think that's a benefit for everyone. The developers get to fund their development using this over the next 12 months. And
I know, but that's the thing. You know what I'm like. I don't agree necessarily with a lot of these Kickstarters. I don't agree that the consumer should be the one funding the product.
But it's made very clear to them from the beginning that's what they're doing. I know, but it's never really. So you because you don't agree with it, you're taking the choice away. Whereas I think because you disagree with it, you shouldn't take part in it. And that's where it ends.
It's not necessarily that I'm arguing that the choice should be taken away and that this shouldn't happen. It's that the bigger picture, I think, is very dangerous potentially very dangerous for the industry.
There are going to be companies, and there have been companies that are going to take advantage of that.
You know what happened with free to play? When free to play started getting accepted, people ran away with that and took the piss.
And still are.
I think the problem with the DayZ thing is that you always have, especially if they're a smaller team or the team has complete autonomy on the project, is that the project will run long. And obviously DayZ I don't think will be as bad, but Daikatana is, if you've read Masters of Doom, there's just moments where in every year, John Romero would see new technology and think, that has to go in. Start again. Duke Nukem is another game, George Prasad, same sort of thing. And I think when you've got one guy so heavily associated with the game is Dean Hall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on his Twitter feed yesterday. That's right, Dean. I was only doing
I was watching everything, Dean.
But I just, the reaction to the game was really good. And I was going through his Twitter feed and he had this picture and it was of a shell in the car in a production plant. He said, I wouldn't sell you this. So please.
But that's the thing.
But at the same time is that it did 100. It's reported that it's done 172,000 sales at 20 quid. Now, and this is nothing to say anything about Dean Hall's character or anything, but if you're getting that for the alpha, then there's a chance that you might think, well, we'll keep on going until it's perfect. And the games are never perfect. So I can't remember who it was, so I apologise. But the thing that quotes something like, games are never finished; they're just shipped. And there's a potential if you're doing early access and Kickstarter. And Double Fine have been guilty of this as well, of just taking the dollars, and now you've got the financial security, then you just keep on running and running.
And that's the thing, like there'll be
so it is dangerous. I'm not saying that DayZ will turn out like that, but I think if it was adopted in a large scale.
There are certain people that I have more faith in than others, and I think Dean Hall is one of these that will live up to his promise, and I think he will deliver a good product in the end. And same with Minecraft, that was a similar model back then, and that worked out just fine. But I think
just fine.
Yeah, but I think if this starts to get adopted much wider, then that is an issue.
Yeah, and
it takes the pressure off. It takes the pressure to succeed off because, like you say, they've got the financial security where they can sit back and say, "Well, we'll push it back a little bit further." Whereas there's no need for that crunch to.
Definitely, and games get released is because someone in the old publisher
is standing there with a gun.
Someone goes, "Get that fucking thing off my slate right now."
On the flip side, I don't want to seem like I'm disagreeing with you because I think all these points are very valid. But so on the flip side, there is also the idea that if you release something in early access when the game's still in development, it does in some ways allow your player base to interact with where that development's going. So if people start playing DayZ now and see something they really don't like, and they have changed some mechanics since it switched over to the mod, there is now the chance, whilst it's still in development, whilst it's still very easy to do or very accessible even, for people to come out and say, can we change this? And then the developer says, all right then. Like that. Yeah. That's something that we haven't had a lot of opportunity to do in the past, and early access does.
But again, that's a case-by-case basis.
Exactly,
There'll be developers that just won't care.
There's a risk with that as well, though, because then you're paying them to become part of the development process, which in essence is what the company should be paying people to do.
And you've got no guarantee that'll happen, of course. I think
the gamer isn't always right.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
There's no wisdom of crowds when it comes to a mass market.
Nobody's ever right. The developer's not always right. And it's weird. I think I think with a lot of these cases, with Kickstarter campaigns and with early access now being a similar kind of idea, you are like you seem to have said already, like that you're investing in the developer as much as the game. You've got to trust the people behind the game to know what you want. And I guess that's the weird situation where we've never really had that before. When I was young and you go into like a game shop and pick a game off the shelf, you don't know who's behind that. You need to, with early access, you've got a direct link with the developers now, and that's going to change.
We've become the publisher. We've spoken about this on the podcast before. We've become the publisher. We're the ones funding it and putting our faith in a product that will deliver.
There were a hell of a lot of positives and a hell of a lot of negatives.
I agree, and I don't think there's any clear cut answer at the moment. It's all way too early to sort of judge it either way. I mean, this is just an early concern of mine, really. So on a slightly related note,
sure.
Talking of DayZ, considering how long it's been, how has nobody come along in that time frame and gone one better and gone, here's our game? I know, was it the Warzy that tried it?
And I was kind of worried that in some ways, and I don't know if this is true, Warzy might have had a negative impact on DayZ sales, because
it could have done.
It tarnished the idea, if not the game.
Well, there was massive hype for DayZ about 12 months ago. Huge hype. And it seemed like they dropped the ball for a bit by delaying it for so long. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the sales, it's done very well, but I imagine if...
Fucking hell, Warzy. I can't believe how blatant of a copy that was.
I know, but...
And that was a shit copy as well.
I mean, DayZ was popular for quite a long time, and the fact that no one else has come out and gone, we're working on a game similar to this, surprises me. I mean, I'm kind of glad, because it's good that people aren't just ripping off other people's ideas. But
you've got to kind of... I think you're right, Dave, and I think that there's the problem where you might just miss it. You might miss the zeitgeist. Like, zombie games are massively in, and then... But what if the wind, changes? I mean, as a kind of analog in film, like in the 60s, 50s and 60s, like, people were like, right, we're going to do musicals, are massive, we do musicals, and then suddenly they started dropping all this dollar on the big musicals, and everyone went...
And then there's a crash.
And it's not exactly the same, but it's... If Dean Hall and Co. are sitting there, and they've got the money now, and they're like, great, we're securing the funding... And then they just go, now we'll drag it out. And you see games do that all the time.
But then maybe that's why this model is clever. They've got the money now before the crash comes.
Yeah, and you've got whereas there are games that are... The Elder Scrolls Online is coming up eventually. And, that's based on an MMO idea that was very different,
I think the Old Republic
5 years ago.
Is an example of that. So if the Old Republic had come out like a certain amount of time before, it would have been gigantic. But they were like, right, we're on the coattails of WoW, essentially. So let's do something. I spend $infinity billion making,
and then it
came
changes.
out and everyone went, cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I'll be very intrigued to see how Elder Scrolls does, because that whole model seems to be dying. But then we say that Final Fantasy Realm Reborn seems to be doing a lot better for Square than they.
And WoW's doing a hell of a lot better than it was. That fall is not. It's not a plummet anymore, is it? It's a graceful. It's like a leaf falling from a tree.
It's odd. It's odd because I've never really. I'm not an MMO guy, and I've always got the opinion that Elder Scrolls Online is the one that people kind of sneer at a little bit. Like it's the game that they didn't really want an Elder Scrolls Online game to be.
I think that's fair enough. People have pined after a multiplayer Elder Scrolls game for a long time, but I don't think this is.
But not like that.
Yeah,
they want it. They want Oblivion or Skyrim with their mate next to them.
Dude, I want it. So in Morrowind, I've got a house full of loot that I've collected from the entire game. I want to be able to take people into the house and go, look at all that loot. Now piss off.
I always wanted.
That's all I need.
Look at all these heads rolling around.
Loads of them.
I always wanted a multiplayer Resident Evil game, which actually ended up, when I was thinking of when I was a kid, that
Operation Raccoon City.
A bit like Outbreak, but Outbreak was absolutely unplayable and had no online functionality in the first game in the UK.
You had to get the network to work.
And yet, so the next time they tried it, obviously, again, everything had shifted from that survival horror, kind of that slow pace into action, and then Operation Raccoon City came out. So I think developers have to be aware that things will shift underneath them. But I do think you're right, is that there's so much more engagement now than there used to be. And this is going on for years. I'm not saying like 2 years ago. I'm talking when I was playing games when I was a kid. And what you were saying, Brad, is when you walked into a shop and you saw Splatterhouse 3 and you went, Splatterhouse 2 is pretty good. And you bought it fucking rubbish. You had trusted your gut, or maybe Mean Machine Sega, and that was that. But now you can talk to the man who made it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's to kind of bring it back to the starting point. I think that's really admirable when you can say, look, here's 20 quid, I'll I'll play it. But at the same time, it terrifies me that everything's so open in a way, because you just don't want everyone in there going,
it's more like it's not. It's like here's 20 quid. Please make that game that you said you were going to. There you go. Please, yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we seem to be going on a little bit long here. So shall we rattle through some podcast questions?
Yeah, can we have some funny ones?
Go.
Okay.
Right, we've been a bit serious. Can we get stupid?
Okay.
Yeah, let's
talk about Cliffhanger again.
Right. So what have we got here?
Awesome. Every Van Damme film ever made.
Kojima said he loved Kickboxer this morning.
Did he really?
It made him cry.
I saw that tweet.
It made him cry.
That's
amazing.
It. Getting Ground Zeroes. Getting 2 copies.
Okay, Mark Robertson on Twitter, known as Lithium Project, asked, "What did you ask from Santa?" Dave, what did you ask from Santa?
From Santa?
Nice.
I
want to know what you thought of when you laughed just then.
Yeah, it was definitely something rude.
It wasn't from Santa that I asked for, but
I got really boring, man. Like I'd quite like a new wallet. That's not a Christmas present.
New wallet?
That's like it's a utility.
I
want
asked for
something exciting.
It's functional.
It's a utility.
Like
a Batman belt.
I would quite like to see.
I'd like a Batman belt, actually. That would be marvellous.
With the wallet attachment. Yeah.
I would quite like to see Carl Pilkington's new little TV series.
The Moaning of Life.
Yeah, is that any good?
Watched the first episode, was really good. Where he went to get an arranged marriage in India, I believe. Really good.
Also, though, I've got a few games that I have on my little Christmas list that I have. Christmas always
Didn't you have all of the games already?
You say that, but I don't have any Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Christmas is always the perfect Nintendo time.
Yeah, that's very...
So I'm looking forward to hopefully trying out Mario 3D World.
That goes quite well into a question from... Cross questions here. Shit, I've lost it already, haven't I? Pete Electro asks, what's your go-to Christmas game with family members or friends? And I guess Nintendo is a pretty solid staple there.
Papers, Please. With my children. Psych. No, I don't have any children.
No. That you know of.
Your choice. That's your choice.
It's my choice, man. It's my choice.
Merry Christmas, Steve. I'm pregnant.
Dave, it's not mine.
Oh my God.
It's yours, Brad. I don't know what's happening.
For a while, my game was always Wii Sports. I'd bring the Wii over and...
my family's not very game centric.
Obviously.
Rock Band,
Rock Band.
Okay.
Back in the day, SingStar. And the dance mats.
I'm not sure I want to sing with my family unless I'm really drunk. Then again, it's Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
So
the last game
Christmas is for.
The last game my family played together was Hook on the Mega Drive. That was it. It was the last game we played.
Right,
they hate games.
Have you ever got drunk and gone horse riding while drunk? Because you have a lot of horses.
What a weird... Why do people need to know that?
Is it illegal?
Yeah.
Like drink driving is illegal.
A license plate on its arse.
If you're drunk riding...
I imagine it's illegal if you're on the road, yeah. Also, no, I haven't.
You don't have a registration.
Yeah.
Is this your car? Did you drive?
Nay.
Sorry,
it is not.
Quick, up on the passenger seat.
Oh, no, wait. Can't believe you just did a nay joke.
It started as a joke.
Fucking terrible.
It started as a joke, ended up
the police coming, you could just hop off the horse and go, well, this horse just, is going out for a walk and I accompanied it.
Yeah.
Officer.
He's off his tits. Officer, look.
Yeah.
This horse was driving the horse. I was in the
because presumably
you guys should never be allowed near animals.
The horse would still have complete control of itself.
Oh God!
Like a car can't think for itself. The car does what you tell it. Whereas a horse,
I saw Knight Rider that thinks for itself all the time.
I'm so sad. Can we move on?
But
Can we please?
Like the horse wouldn't swerve back and forth. Do you know what I mean? Like you would in a car.
Have you ever ridden a horse on a public road whilst drunk?
Well, not necessarily on a public road.
I have not, officer. No.
What about in your private fields?
Yeah.
Well, I've never been drunk and on a horse.
Your private fields.
I'm sorry. I'll try and remedy that this Christmas.
Shocking.
Okay.
Shocking.
I feel bad about my glue joke now. I'm really sorry, Brad.
You made a glue joke, you
did.
fucking asshole. Okay, well, let's see. We've got here. What do you see the trackpad being used for on the PlayStation 4? Because at the moment, it seems like a fancy back/select button. Says
Sorry,
Stephen
say
Carter,
that again.
The trackpad.
The trackpad on the PlayStation 4 controller.
I've always thought
that's the only game I've used it in.
I always thought the trackpad was shit.
I think it's a bit shit so far, but in Killzone you use it basically because there isn't enough buttons on the controller for the. Yeah. It's basically another D-pad because it's up.
I like
left, right, down.
It's better to have it there than not.
I think it'll work really well in an RTS game. If an RTS game came, because that way you act as a mouse.
It's just a mouse pointer, isn't it?
Mouse you know what? Yeah, and actually, moving around on the map would be pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently you can do that in Assassin's Creed.
To be fair, the fact that we haven't seen it on many PlayStation 4 games, it's not something we should know about too much because it's better than them just shoehorning it in like fucking Kinect on. Have you played Dead Rising 3? Of course you have. You're crazy.
I know. What's that about?
I reviewed it. No.
Yeah, sorry. Like every boss fight, the same voice command.
What does that do?
Basically, it's like a taunt. So you shout, "You're crazy," and it's always "You're crazy."
Do you have to?
No, but it makes the boss fights. If you want to do a taunt, you have to do it.
I hate Kinect. I despise it. And Dave, do you know what? You're always giving it the big one about how you're going to get an Xbox One.
Always giving it the big one.
And then you said, Dave, and I'm pointing now. I don't usually point because I think it's rude, but I'm going to point.
Let's all point at Dave. Even if you're listening, point at Dave.
Dave is afraid to get changed in front of his Kinect sensor. I'm sorry, but keeping that in there is the behaviour of a psychopath.
I tell you, because the party system is so fucked on that thing, I'm often worried that I've accidentally entered a party and someone can see me through Kinect.
Do you have nightmares about this?
I was lying there in bed the other day because my girlfriend's, the bed is in front of the television, in front of Kinect, and I was lying there thinking, it's just popped up about a party invite. Am I in that party now? I don't know, because people can just join you. If it automatically puts you in a party and people can join your party, from what I understand of it, and I'm like, what can people see?
Yeah.
Now I know it's nothing. But part of me does think.
Do you know?
Yeah. How do you know, Dave?
Yeah.
Do you know about Snowden?
Well, you can't unless you're in like Skype.
The mountain
you
Wales.
Can't. But I do. I worry, there are so many people out there that don't realise that Kinect is picking up their voice while they're playing a game.
Yeah.
Need for Speed is just people talk. It's just dogs barking and people talking to their kids.
People telling their mums they don't want dinner yet. I've heard all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I can't believe there's not a notification at any point during the setup.
Listen,
saying,
I don't want to be a dick, but you're currently broadcasting during this game.
Yeah,
I want to keep it down.
The most annoying thing though is when it echoes the bloody game volume, the game sound.
Oh god, yeah. And because most people have Kinect next to their TV, it's very very easy.
That's where it's supposed to go. But I do,
and I don't know how you mute people anymore.
Oh, it's really complicated.
You don't understand this new Xbox world,
I can't get my head around it.
I do love
bring back the old interface.
I do like it for menu navigation, only because the menu navigation in the Xbox is so fucked up that trying to do it with a controller is nearly impossible. You try and find your settings.
I'm not sure I like that. I think that's just you've had to do it. Yeah,
it's a solution to a problem.
That's not a great way to describe it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a UI built around voice.
This user interface provided many solutions to its own problems. Yeah, that's very good. Very good. Cool.
It's just what Microsoft's always done. Windows 8 was built around touch device. No one wanted a bloody touch screen. Now this is built around voice commands. No one wants to use their voice. Just give us back normal bloody inputs.
You're right,
I did it the other day where...
Okay.
No, I'm not actually. I'm really pissed off.
I tried...
Because you know me, I was looking forward to Xbox.
You were.
And for so many months, I thought, it'll be all right in the end. No. It's going through a rough patch. But no, they fucked it.
Told you.
No, I tried showing off the Kinect for my mum. I tried saying, because I was watching a film, I said, I pressed pause.
Classic error.
And because you can't say, I couldn't tell her what the command was to play the film. So I said, just tell it to start, but just say the name of the console at the beginning. And she said, Xbox start. It wouldn't play it, obviously, because she didn't say play. But it interpreted it as Xbox stop, and it booted me to the main menu.
Brett,
I lost where I was in the film.
You made the classic error there. Never, ever try and show off voice commands to other people, because something happens in the universe that will guarantee that whatever you're showing will not work.
Of course, yeah.
I tell you what else.
Trying to turn the console on when someone walks in and try to say, Xbox on.
Mum, you've seen this new thing on my iPhone, it's really good, and then it just doesn't work, and you're really embarrassed and look like a bit of a tit.
Tell you what else I've done a couple of times, which is probably my own stupidity rather than the console's fault, but still, the fact that it happens is a pain in the arse. So, you have your main tile, right? If you're on the homepage of the dashboard.
The pin or the...
Yeah. No. Once you're on your home, you have your main big thing, that's the app that you're in at the moment, and then below that you have your four most recent, and then what's in the disk tray. So, I'm there playing Need for Speed, and I thought, I'm going to check my achievements. So I scroll down, I push the home button, scroll down into my most recent, which is my achievements.
Yep, this seems reasonable.
And I accidentally don't press it far enough. And I press A and I load up FIFA. And suddenly I've lost my Need for Speed game, and it's loaded up FIFA. I'm like, oh my God.
Do you know what
such
also doesn't
a
work?
pain.
You know when you put it in, when you say...
It should say, are you sure you want to leave this game?
Yeah.
I'm like,
but you know the thing where it says if you restart the console, you can go straight back into your game and continue where you left off. I've tried doing it with Forza and FIFA, and when you turn the console back on, FIFA fails to load where it was before. You know that thing where the game freezes? You know, like if you pause the game and it does that panning shot of the pitch and no player is moving, it will stay in that for ages and then boot itself, but it'll say, failed to connect to servers. We need to restart this game in order for you to be able to load it. So therefore, I lose the progress of the match that I was in. Forza did it, where I was in a race. I paused it. I closed the console. I went out for a little while, came back, restarted it, and it said same thing. Your driver task settings have changed or whatever. In order for you to be able to do it, you have to restart the game. So the concept doesn't work yet.
It's all gone horribly wrong.
And also, Dave, you're saying it should say you should leave. Do you want to do this? That's actually in Microsoft's own documentation. It's called confirmation of destructive actions. So they've broken their own rules.
God damn it!
And that's not.
Let's all just go and play Papers, Please. Actually, before we go and play Papers, Please, Dave, because Simon Miller isn't in, you're going to have to be the replacement for the Miller Instinct.
I am the new Rocky.
Right. I'm going to say we will have recorded a jingle by the time this podcast goes up. So
can I sing it?
You absolutely can. No, Dave. We record the jingle outside the podcast.
Oh, outside the podcast.
Yeah, so just Dave, stop. The jingle's about to begin.
Oh, it's the Scammel Jam.
So, are you ready, Dave? Are you ready for your Miller Instinct filling question? This is quick fire. You don't know what this question is going to be. You're going to have to answer it.
Have we come up with a proper name for this? Because obviously I'm not Miller.
Okay, well, I was going to check this with you, but I quite like the Scammel Jam.
Yes.
What do you think of the Scammel Jam? Because
it doesn't really make much sense, but all right.
Yeah, but the Miller Instinct does make quite a bit of sense, actually. Anyway, regardless, what's your favourite part of a Christmas dinner?
Turkey.
Turkey?
No, stuffing.
Oh,
no, turkey.
Stuffing.
What?
And this should be called Notes on a Scammer.
Actually, I tell you what, the favourite part of the Christmas dinner is the cold turkey and, is it
Isn't the Christmas dinner itself?
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Leftover sandwiches.
The favourite part of your Christmas dinner is not the Christmas dinner itself, but the aftermath.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The best part is when it's over and you don't have to pretend to like anyone anymore. You can fuck off.
Steve, you're such an unhappy person.
No.
How long after the meal before you leave and play your games?
Seconds.
Is it really? You just go?
I'm
still chewing.
The last, forkful, I'm actually just,
out of your
pop
chair.
it back over, essentially, like a quarterback, wide receiver, picks up the fork. And
some of those words make sense.
See ya.
Oh, worst part, Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Never understood that.
No one. Everyone just pretends. It's this massive in-joke that started
bet it is.
100 years ago.
Bet it
No
is.
one
Stuffing is the answer.
We had our Christmas dinner the other day, a little work Christmas dinner.
Yep.
Worst part of that was the pudding.
I tell you what
I didn't have one. They just didn't give me one.
I had yours, Steve,
story.
and you know what? What they call a Christmas pudding is a goddamn disgrace. But
Yeah, it was a disgrace. And then everyone, like a couple of people had massive cheese boards. I was like, what?
I don't think anyone cares about this.
Can you have cheese as your dessert?
It's all right, mate. It's okay. We'll go into this on this can be a future.
But no, seriously, that is quite weird, right?
This can be in the review of the year.
Yeah.
Do other
When Miller
if there are listeners out there, let me know if you eat cheese for pudding.
People do that. That's quite a well-known.
What, like cheese strings and shit like that?
Cheese strings. Why did you go for cheese strings? Oh, you're an uncultured man.
You just get a can of cheese and then just do a whirl of it in the corner of the
Yeah, like spray cheese. Oh, that's nice pudding.
Right.
Back to
we need to wrap this up. I need to go and play The Walking Dead. I need to just sit in a quiet room for a little while and think about what just happened. And yeah, before we go, we'll just do one last shout out for the podcast competition. You've still got until January, the dates on the forums, until next month to complete this.
What do they have to do, Bratters?
Well, it's Christmas, as you may be aware, Dave.
Yes.
And it's time to sell lots and lots of video games. Lots of video games.
Who's selling video games?
Everyone. That's what you do at Christmas.
Sales.
I'm not selling video games.
Well, in this mythical world, in this competition, you are a person that sells video games. Okay?
I'm with you now.
And so you're looking on at envy with these terrible, terrible games like Skylander Swap Force, which have somehow convinced people to buy all these plastic toys.
I've got loads.
They've convinced you to buy these plastic toys. Dave is actually the target market for this competition in some respects. And somehow, that seems to have worked. You think you can do something better. You need to do something more...
I've got an idea.
More evil, more enticing than Skylander Swap Force. A game that can be sold to the masses, can be sold to Dave and people like Dave.
I've got one.
Football game.
Do you want to know my idea?
You still can't enter the competition, but someone can steal it.
This is a winning entry right now.
Okay.
Go on.
Pogs, they're coming back. I'm telling you right now. This is happening.
It's not really an idea.
And now with
No, I'm on board with this.
So listen. So you collect the Pogs.
Collect them, yeah.
Collect the Pogs.
So you'll need to buy lots of them when we...
Yeah.
I'm with you.
With Connect, or whatever your favourite ridiculous camera of choice is, you can scan them in to the game.
Yeah.
And then with your hand, I'm doing a motion right now.
Okay.
You slam them down with the power with Connect.
So it's like Eye of Judgment.
I have judgment.
Kind of. And you can play it online, and then whoever wins your Pogs, and you can lose them, and you can be like this online collection.
You've still got the Pog in your hand.
No, because it's like Tron.
It absorbs into the game.
Yeah, or there's a little QR code or something on the actual physical POG, which renders that unusable in the next round of the game.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh.
We're in.
Fucking yes.
Right, okay.
Also, I'll tell you another idea.
POG's the video game.
How do we mic drop? Do we just unplug this and then just throw it?
Exactly.
Simlanders.
Simlanders.
Imagine the Sims,
but in Skylanders,
and you have like a little Barbie doll type sim, right?
Oh, this is
like a physical
Dave,
sim.
I know you too well. This is going to get creepy. This is going to get real creepy.
You can buy accessories, physical accessories for your physical doll that have chips in them, and it then scans them into the game.
Dave wants
and then
to
you build
up a
up
Barbie doll, which is absolutely fine. It's cool. It's no different than Action Man.
Is how I'm going to make my millions.
Okay, well, you can't make it in this competition, but we appreciate your ideas and your inspiration nonetheless.
Right.
That has been the Video Gamer UK podcast, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening. I'd like to thank Mr. David Scanlon for joining me, Mr. Brad Phipps, and Mr. Steve the Burns. Thank you, and goodbye.
Just complete silence from the team there.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas. Au revoir. Goodbye.
Bye.
Could you go back through all the podcasts over the past 12 months and just count how many times the words "papers, please" have been mentioned?
Fuck off! No, okay,
I'm willing
Dark
to
Souls,
bet.
that's fair enough, but Papers, Please, we've mentioned like 3 or 4 times.
I think in terms of sheer volume, shall we say, we have talked about Dark Souls, Zelda, for good reason, because you're playing through it, and also Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I reckon.
I don't think Papers, Please is anywhere near that list.
I think it will be.
Why Mario Kart?
I have a feeling that it will be.
It's the only game that Simon can play. He always says.
Should we talk more about Papers, Please?
I think we should.
Let's do it.
Okay.